Hey guys, so this is kind of my indie progress video and I have not seen these clips in so long and it's so terrible how bad she was, and well, obviously I didn't look very good riding her. But please, if you only watch the first like 2 minutes and then start commenting in the description giving out about me, then I'm gonna be really mad, because you should really stay and watch the end of the video. She is a completely different horse now, like it's actually insane. So these first clips are from January because that's when I got her first. So I've had her like 7 months now, which is pretty cool. And she was terrified of that white wall. I don't know what happened to her with that white wall, but she was terrified of it. Every time I'd go past it, she'd get really tense, really nervous, would swing her hind end to the inside of the arena, and if I put on my inside leg to push her in straight, she'd flip, like she'd freak out, kind of do little bunny hop rear things. She was just not happy about it. So as you can see, she's really fighty in the mouth. She wouldn't accept the contact, wouldn't really go forward. When she did go forward, she'd just shoot forward and then she'd back off. It was just all very messy and inconsistent. And cantering was terrible. Cantering was the thing. Canter was the thing that took the longest to get right, because she just had no kind of self-carriage or balance or anything. So you'd have to keep a ridiculous amount of outside leg on, or she'd switch her leads, which you can see there. But like, yeah, okay, you could just keep loads of outside leg on and she'd stay, but like it was physically not even possible for me to put that enough outside leg on. She just needed to learn to carry herself and not fall out so much in the corners, but you know, we got there in the end. She would also kind of go really wide around the corners because she was like falling out, and she would like stumble then, and yeah, it was just very all over the place, and she was very hard to ride and stay kind of anyway consistent on her. So then I also gave her a jump. This is also my first time ever riding her, by the way. I just kind of wanted to suss her out and see what the story was with her and what I needed to work on. So you can see that she kind of pins her ears and puts her head up after jumps. And cantering to jumps was very hard, so I would just trot and then canter the last 2 strides. Yeah, she just wasn't very confident jumping and was a bit messy with her jump. Very much a kind of thoroughbredy, just launching herself kind of flat to the jump. So this is another day, probably a couple of week later. You can see again that white wall, she just bloody hates it. So I would just circle her and then she would fall out and run into the cameraman, which was my mum. So I would just circle her around the wall and kind of leg yield her towards it, and she was a lot better if I did it like that as opposed to just coming straight to the wall. So I basically just leg yield her to the wall at the start of every ride for ages, and eventually she just kind of realised it wasn't going to hurt her, and I don't know what she was afraid of, but she was terrified of that wall. Also, I've made a video on how to get a horse into an outline, which is basically what I did with Indy to teach her to accept the contact and work a bit nicer. So you can see there is a big improvement already in the trot. It's still a bit inconsistent, but it's definitely a lot better. And she's not fighting me if I put a bit of contact on the bit. But again, every time I go past the wall, she is just no, I don't like this wall. And yeah, she eventually got over it, just kind of desensitized her and just kept going past it. Every time she'd worry and have a little bit of a panic, I just circled and she would go nicely again, and we just did that consistently for ages, and she eventually just went, yeah, cool, no worries, I know what a wall is. So with the canter, I started sitting up off her back in the canter because she was so sensitive to me. If I shifted my weight at all, she would just switch. If my leg moved at all, she would just switch her leads. So I decided to just get off her back, let her canter forward, not really worry about too much where her head is, just a bit of contact. And it did really help. She would canter better then, but the minute I sat down in the saddle, it would just go to shit again, and she would just be all hollow and switching her leads and everything. So obviously it wasn't really a long-term solution, but it did let me get a good idea at her canter, what her canter could be. So you can see here that she switched her lead even with me sitting off her back and having loads of outside leg. She was just very inconsistent and also very weak. Like before I got her, she was very, very weak. She had no top leg at all and no muscles on her back or anything. So, you know, I can't really expect her to be able to carry herself or anything. We're also doing a bit more jumping, just keeping it very simple. You can see that after the jump, she kind of throws up her head and isn't very happy about it. It's because she's kind of anticipating my hands, and she also was not very careful because she couldn't really figure out where to put she couldn't really figure out where to put her legs. And you can see there she even like shows the white of her eye and everything. She's just really expecting me to pull her mouth after the jump. So I just would put my hands really far forward after a jump and just put a leg on so she moves forward, and she kind of just realised I wasn't going to do it. So here's another update, and she is working a lot better. You know, flatwork just improved slowly over time. You can't expect miracles, but you know, horses are happier working calmly and relaxed and kind of a lower head frame. Like, they don't want to trot around with their head up in the air all stressed, so that's not fun for them either. And you can see there her going past the wall is a lot better. It's the small victories. And our canter, again, I'm just staying off her back, trying to let her move forward and keep the right lead. She really falls just through the corners. She can't really balance herself and sit up. She's relying a lot on my hand. You can see she's really pulling, and if I give the rein, she literally just almost falls. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, she's like really leaning on my hand and relying on it. And again, loses her balance and straight away switches her lead. It's just she didn't have the balance and strength to stay on the correct lead, and that is just time. Like, that is definitely not something that will improve overnight. You know, building muscle does take time and correct riding, which is hard when she's, you know, not being the easiest horse to ride. But her transition was a lot better. It's getting a lot better. It's not as tense. She's not jumping into the canter, rushing into the canter, and she is actually cantering on my aid, as opposed to before I would have to like squeeze, kick, and then even then she would just kind of trot faster, not actually canter, because she just didn't really understand the actual aid for canter, you know, outside leg back and inside leg on the girth. So she kind of had to teach her that, but she got it pretty quick. And you can see here really clearly the way she throws up her head after jumps. Again, that was just time. I didn't jump her a huge amount when I first got her. Like, these were the only times I jumped her. Every time I jumped her, I would just video. You can actually hear me say there where I'm like, yeah, she's worried about me pulling her mouth. And as well, see how she falls out through the corner. She needs like a huge amount of outside leg because she can't really support herself. And there she goes so wide, she almost goes over the pole. It's just very kind of wishy-washy, and she can't really go straight. But you know, she eventually learns to listen to my legs, and she goes straight, which is great. So you can see there, she's just kind of scrambling over jumps. She doesn't really know what to do with those legs. Her legs were quite gangly. But then she gets it. Like, that was a really good jump. She is getting it slowly but surely.
That was very good.
A big reward for her. So here we're getting brave and putting up some nice verticals, and you know, she's just taking it in her stride. She does worry a little bit when they get bigger just because she doesn't have the most confidence. She's kind of weird in her way, like she wouldn't have a lot of confidence, but she doesn't stop. Instead, she shows it by just kind of throwing in funny jumps. So then we brought her cross-country schooling, which was really fun. She was so game for it. Like, this is the very first clip of her, and you can see she's very spooky. It's so windy the day we went, and there was red like banners and flags and stuff, and they were all flapping, and she was like, what the heck is going on? But then you can see she settles down to work. She's very gung-ho. She knows what she's doing. I have a whole video of the cross country we did, so I'm going to link that instead of putting all the clips in here, but I'll just add a couple in so you can have an idea of what we did. So this was her first time ever going cross country, so I had to show her everything. The water was all new, but honestly, when we first went to the water, she was like, oh no, what's this? And then as soon as she was in it, she just like was jumping in and out of it, no worries at all. She was so good in the water. You can see there she's actually jumping quite careful and lovely. Like, it's so nice to see that she does have the capability to jump nice. She just needs to get her legs together and sort out what she's doing with herself. So then in March we brought her to her first show kind of thing. It was just an unaffiliated kind of dressage combined training thing, and she had her good moments, but she was also very spooky. Our canter still wasn't great. I don't know. We kind of just brought her because there was only like one or two on, and I just wanted to get her somewhere, getting out somewhere. But you can see her canter, like, it's not terrible, but it's obviously very kind of all over the place. Our circles are pretty lopsided. They're not very round. But you know, she like did have her good moments, and it was a great experience for her just to get out and see a bit. So our left canter was quite good, relative, and her right canter was a lot worse. You can see how she rushes hollow into the canter. The circle was very lopsided, like it went way down that side and didn't come anywhere up this end. I don't know. This is why I'm not a dressage rider, I'm a show jumper. Then she loses her balance and switches leads, and I just get the canter back. But like, you know, she's not too wild, she's not galloping out of control. She was just very kind of wobbly, just like a big baby really. And then this was the show jumping phase. You can see I couldn't really keep the canter. She had a little trot, but she was so good. Like, she's never seen fillers before, and she did not spook at all. She just had a few, like one or two baby poles down just where she didn't really have her legs. Like there, she kind of just drifted to the left and wasn't really sure what she was doing. And she's also quite hollow because she's looking around her. She doesn't really know what's going on. But you know, she was very good for her first time doing show jumping. And then this was like the thing that changed everything. So I started lunging her, doing raised trotting pulls, because someone recommended me to do that with Welbeck for her back. And honestly, doing this every day before I rode, I did this for a week, and then I kept doing it every day before I rode, and she was like a different horse. She just put on so much muscle on her back. She was so much stronger. Like, look how good that canter was. Like, that canter transition, this is what dreams are made out of. And look how relaxed she is. She's staying soft. Like, it was just such a huge improvement in such a short amount of time. I would like 100% recommend doing those trotting pulls. I'm going to do a whole video on lunging, and I will of course include them and explain all about it and everything. But yeah, like, that was so good. You can hear me, I'm like so excited about it. And the right rein was just equally as good, you know. She was just so much more relaxed, and I didn't have to put as much outside leg on. I just had a nice soft contact. She was just staying nice and round and relaxed, and I was just so happy. And that basically stopped all the switching leads. She very, very rarely did it after that, because it was just purely strength, you know. And then I'm doing a bit more jumping. When the flat work got a lot better, I was able to do a bit more jumping than I was before. But jumping just didn't really come naturally to her at the start. She took a bit of a few grids and a bit of going, but you know, she really did get it in the end. See, like there, she threw a huge jump. Like, she really does have the capability and the scope. She just needs to organize herself a bit better. She just finds it hard to get all of her legs in the right place. So here's another day. You can see our flat work again is improved a lot. She's very consistent now. I can ask her to bend to the inside, bend to the outside. She's listening to my legs. It's like just so nice to ride now. So this was the first day that I actually was able to just canter down to a jump on its own, really nice and easy, and I was so happy with her. You can see that she jumped the first one very relaxed, but then when it got bigger she got a bit kind of worried and stuff, but she soon settled down and kind of jumped a few nice jumps. But you can see when she jumps big, she worries then that I'm gonna pull her, because if I lose my balance or something, it's just probably something a rider used to do on her. But so that's why I just have to try and stay really forward. And through that double she was super careful, and I just have to stay really, really soft with my hands. So then we brought her show jumping schooling, and she was so good.
That's a lovely jump.
You know, I didn't really jump big fences. I was just focusing on her being rideable and just moving forward smoothly, jumping everything nicely. You can see even when she has a little look at something, she'll just still jump it. There's not really any worries about her. And she jumps in and out of doubles, everything. She was just very good. And she's also starting to be a lot more careful and minding herself, and not and being a lot neater with her jump, and not like, you know, just tipping poles and stuff. There's also a few cross-country jumps where we were, so I jumped them and she was super. So this is the day that I plaited her all up and stuck on these white bandages for a video of her dressage for her ad to go up for sale. She just looks so good, like, compared to the first video and then this, it actually looks like a completely different horse. I just can't get over it. She was also really fresh this day because I hadn't ridden her about 3 days, which was annoying because she kept kind of going behind the vertical because she just wanted to go forward, but I couldn't let go of the reins at all because she would just, like, you know, canter off. But it meant that she, instead of just slowing down, she kind of just tucks her head in and her body still moves forward, kind of thing. Yeah, so that was a pity because the video wasn't probably as nice as it could have been if she was more relaxed and I could, you know, put on a bit of leg and move her forward without her rushing.
Right there.
But, you know, we have those days. And her canter, you know, still really nice. You can see there I was like giving the rein, taking and giving it, and she just like supports herself, canters around, there's no worries at all. Like anyone can get up on her now and just give her a trot canter and she'll stay in outline, she'll go nicely, and it's just great to see. Also, I set up a little course not that long ago, and you know, like she just pops around these courses now, so easy. It's just nothing to her. She doesn't worry as much, and she's just a lot easier to ride, and it's pretty simple, except there she got a bit excited. So yeah, that's Indy. I can't believe how far she's come. She's gonna make her new owner so happy. I'm delighted to see her going to a great home.